Good afternoon. How is everybody doing? A little bit better day today, I guess. At least the market bounced. Bounced pretty hard too. Remember, everything you hear on this channel is not financial advice. It's for fun and entertainment only. Consult a licensed professional at all times. Thank you for being here while we're waiting for more people to get here. I see Mark's here, so that's pretty much all we need. We need Marcus too. I bet Marcus is here. Once we have Mark and Marcus, we get Froggy and Grumpy. That's pretty much the core. And then sometimes Dan and SB and BR might join us too. Friday afternoon, we usually have good live streams. I have a lot of stuff to show you guys, so let's get going. Let's talk about this darn market first. I don't want to talk about that one yet. Let me just bring up the spiders. I just think this trend line is pretty key. And I liked it on the daily chart. It looks like we took a back. And you look at the shorter term chart, it looks basically like we finished right at it. Anyway, but I did want to point this out. I'm making a new thing on the chart. And so, green is where I think buyers might be, and red is where we think maybe sellers might be, on a retest. But this yellow area is just a key area. It was resistance, solid resistance for a while, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Then we gapped through it, and then it became a place where we thought buyers were, and there were buyers, but then it went through it the other way. Then it doesn't matter which side of it it's on. It's a key zone or whatever. I don't know what you would call, but it's key. Today, lately, it's been acting like resistance. But if we get on the other side of it, it could act like support. It's just a key area on the chart, and it looks like we closed right at the trend line. So that is good for sure. Now let's look at the Qs. The thing that's killing us still, I know I sound like a broken record, is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, closed on the lows. And Bitcoin never closes, but it finished regular trading hours on the lows. So the Qs have this same area, support turns into, or resistance turns into support, back and forth through it. And it's, bullish above, bearish below. You guys know the drill on that. So they got back up to it, and it acted like resistance. So I think, I'm just still going by I'm working on the scenario that the selling's not finished yet, but hopefully we're closer to the end than the beginning. Or maybe it is finished, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit, if we have more left in the tank. But I'm basing that on several things, not the least of which is, am I sharing the screen? No, I'm sharing the screen. So not the least of which is, let's look at this, Bitcoin on Coinbase. Yeah, it's classic bear market pattern. It's been doing it forever, or bear market's the wrong word, distribution pattern or whatever. Where you rally and you can't hold the rally and the trend lines are facing down. But anyway, then you go make a new low. And then when you rally, you make a lower high, that's typical, and we barely made it back to the darn fast moving average today. And then we made a new low. That's what bears want to do. So, anyway, we'll see. We'd really like to take this trend line back right here, or take the 200-day back, or take the 20% down mark back. But I think 20% down is right around 102 or 100. So, we need to take something back. And I don't know where the 200-day is. I think it's around 104. All right. So let's see what's going on elsewhere. Let's look. I have the VIX to VIVIX chart up. It's still solidly in the caution territory. I haven't seen a lot of evidence of people just selling the heck out of volatility. VIX was down, and VIVIX was down too, but it's still bucking the trend of it's been generally, it's still the moving averages of the ratio are still sloping the wrong direction. It's kind of bucking the trend. But I mean, it is improving. I mean, it's at least it was down today instead of up like it has been lately. So, and just because we're in the caution zone, heck, we could still go up in the caution zone. The last time that happened, we were in the caution zone in September of 2024, right before the election, because there was a lot of panicans that were hedging prior to the election. But in any event, the market went up. It went up even though we're in the caution zone. However, every other time that I go back, that we've been double, that the moving averages have both been red lines, and especially if the price is underneath it, there's been selling. So we'll see. We shall see. Okay. Well, anyway, that's the VIX versus VIX. Let's start closing some windows. We'll leave that window open. Let's close this window. Well, let's see. All right. So let's start with the general stuff first. Let's go to the this one, whatever this is called, the Fantastic Foursome, or anyway. Okay, so blocks. So these are the latest positions. Well, okay. So here we have red's the price change of their positions for the day. So they didn't get no hit like they got yesterday. The opposing pitcher didn't, pitch a shutout against him. They had a few that were up. Taiwan Semiconductor, Hut. I saw Micron was up today. There were some tech stocks that are starting to rebound. But anyway, these Bitcoin-based ones, they may have been up for a while, but they've turned around and gone the other way. Did you guys hear that old Tom Lee rebalanced his portfolio for granny shots? And I'm trying to think. He took Oracle out of it, and he put in something more blue chippy. He's probably trying to stop the bleeding too, just like we all are. In any event, I mean, the average stock was down 2.1, blocks was down 1.5. I mean, that for blocks, that's really good. If it's down less than the market or down less than their average stock, I mean, that's good. That's a win. That's a win for blocks. Now let's look at LFGY. Now, they had a couple stocks that were up. Did they have Micron or something? The Hut was up. NVIDIA was up. ULTY got a piece of that NVIDIA trade. We'll talk about them in a second. Coinbase, Opera, Melly, Mercado Libre, and Hood. Good job. That's a good sign that Hood's bouncing. Maybe today was the low. Maybe, that was a pretty, for the market. I just don't know about Bitcoin. That was a pretty big gap down, and it was rejected. And so, hopefully next week the market will go back to all-time highs. Everything will be happy again. All right. I just think it'd be easier for that to happen, were Bitcoin to also try to start making some higher lows instead of lower highs, but we'll see. Okay. So LFGY, they did, as far as compared to their underlying, a little bit better even than blocks, but that's good. I mean, we'll take it. Underline's down 1.9. They're down, about half of that. That's not bad, LFGY. All right, we'll take it. Now, ULTY. Let's see what's going on here. This is showing down 24, which is what I'm showing too, but I'm going to gripe about something for a second. Tasty Trade is, and that's why I was late coming on. I've been trying to figure this out. Tasty Trade is showing down 90. Tasty Trade doesn't want you buying these products. They want you doing it yourself. Well, no, they're showing down 1.1. I guess it's after hours, but here's the thing. Even when the market was trading right at the close, it was showing 420. The market yesterday's close was 422. And that's 48 bips. That's not 90 bips. They're showing 90 bips. And I don't understand why. I went and ran the calculations again, and I looked everywhere else. I looked on TradingView, and I looked at other places. Now, yeah, I thought maybe they measure from the open, but no, ULTY was way up from the open. I don't know what Tasty Trade's program is. I have no idea how it's down 1.1. Maybe after hours, I guess. That must be what that is. Anyway, it's not a huge deal, but I just want my numbers to be accurate. We're getting ready to look at the diversified divas, and I was checking everything. Anyway, they went from 422 to 420 today. That's 48 basis points. So anyway, I don't know what Tasty Trade still is. And this is still showing 24 basis points, but it was showing 421 for a while also at the close. It traded 421, 420. So, but if it's a 421, it's down a quarter point. If it's a 420, but in neither event is it down 9/10. So I don't know how they got that. In fact, it was never that low. 420 was the low. Well, yeah, it was that low. Well, no, it wasn't. That was the low for the day. 420 is the all-time low. So I have no idea. Anyway, whatever. It's an improvement. Now, their average, they did better picking their average stocks. I mean, their average stocks were outperforming LFGY's average stock and Block's average stock, because their average stock was only down 89 bips, but they put in some blue chips. The blue chips are NVIDIA. I don't know if you count Hood as a blue chip. Probably not. Definitely not Circle. They put in NVIDIA, Salesforce, Costco, and Facebook. Yeah, we were talking about Facebook this morning. All right. So, that's, I guess, a moral victory. Anyway, let's look at moral victories. Don't pay the bills, though, do they? You can't compound a moral victory. Come on, ULT. Okay, and Salty was up a little bit, but it looks mainly because of MBIS. They had a lot of shorts that didn't work out. They had a lot of shorts that went the other way. They probably have Micron. I bet they do. Micron was doing great today. It kind of surprised me. And there's a few other tech stocks that were doing well. Anyway, all right. Well, but compared to their average stock was up 43 basis points. And for them to be up, that's good. That there's something's working. They had, I don't know. Anyway, well, whatever. I don't want that one to do well. I really don't. I'd rather everything else do well. And anyway, okay, now the ULTI and KYLD isn't working. Okay, so now let's go to diversified divas and kind of look at the whole diversified business here. So diversified divas, yeah, and this was, I was going back and forth on this, and so Google's saying it closed at 421. So Google's showing it down 24 basis points. I mean, what I did is I typed in and I substituted 420 and then saw what that would be, and that'd be 48 basis points. And for a while it was trading at that, but it would have to go to 418 and it never traded there. I don't know how Tasty Trade could suck so bad. The same people must be running Tasty Trade that's running Google. It's because Tom quit and they're probably outsourced their customer support. They used to have real good customer support. Maybe I should just write them an email this weekend and ask them, how they calculate it. Hang on, my sister texted me. I just want to tell her I'm all right. I'm good. Anyway, she obviously doesn't watch my live stream. She just asked, how are you doing? And if she watched my live stream, she would know. But in any event, all right. So I gave her a one-word answer, though. Hopefully she'll get the picture, that she might get the idea that she'll either get her feelings hurt or she'll figure out that I'm in the middle of something. All right. So anyway, let's just look at what we have. So let's look at the daily change. This is a vast improvement. I am liking this chart because you can look at, you take the days as a whole, and yeah, this, even without looking, it's hard to see the individual ones, but you can see today was a vast improvement over here. The best day of the week was, I guess, one day that was Monday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday too. Yeah. Monday was a good day, and last Friday was a good day, but man, that Thursday was a washout. All right. So, and this is just daily change. So this shows, ULTY down a quarter. Let's check the competitors. K-Yield down 30 bips. WPay down about twice as much as ULTY, but it's a good fund. It goes up twice as fast, not twice as fast. It goes up faster. All of these are good funds. I wouldn't put these on here if they weren't good funds. Chippy, GPTY, or if they didn't have a purpose and possibly a place in someone's portfolio, maybe outside of ULTI, though. This thing is a dog. Look at this, because it added more to its, and blocks to it. They added to their, or subtracted from their rolling total return. Look at this thing. It's down. How can you keep a fund open that loses 26% in the first week? I mean, I guess because it doesn't have very many assets under management anyway. So it's, I guess if it was I don't know, but I mean, that is insane. Okay, but here's the good news. I downloaded their trades and everything they have expired. It looks to me like they're set it and forget it. They had hedges on a couple of their trades. But here, let me show you this. I'm going to start following the ULTY trades too. But anyway, so and they published, or ULTI, they published their daily trades, and they really didn't do anything yesterday. I mean, they bought a put, but they sold a put. I mean, nothing major. So then I went through and I evaluated all their positions, and most of these are unhedged. Most of these are just lightning spreads, full downside, full upside. Now, Rigetti is hedged. They have that, they callerize the lightning spread. Anyway, but the thing is, they all expire today. So they're going to have a whole new build for next week. So fingers crossed, and I'm going to report on it. I'm going to do a report tonight. So be watching for that. Okay, but back to the diversified divas. Alt Y's total return was down, 12, a little. It added a little bit too. It added, or subtracted a little bit. LFGY. Anyway, you guys could see the good ones for total return. Of course, the SPY and the Qs. But then, of course, Chippy did really well. GPTY did well. LFGY, not so much, but QLDY hanging right in there, down 4% on a cumulative basis. This includes dividends. K yield down about 10%. I mean, and WPay down 8.74%. All right. So, what was I going to show you next? Let's look at the index buffer. We've already seen kind of the ones that matter because they're over here. We've already kind of looked at these. But let's see what the good ones were. Good Y-SPY up. How is Y-SPY up today? Oh, I know how they're up today. Well, I mean, maybe they sold their put spread first thing in the morning. Now, but they aren't a daily fund, but like something like T-SPY, well, but then they're capped though. That actually works the other way. I don't know. Anyway, they're up, but it's not like they're the only ones. WDTE's up. That's from Defiance. 5E's up, and feet, or in FIRS. ZVol's up. Q up is up somehow. GPTY looks good. AIPI. All right. Salty's up a little bit. Watch up Q. Okay. So let's go from here to here. So I've made a couple of more changes on the close today. I'm back to 17.98% cash. When I saw Bitcoin fell again, discretion's the better part of valor, like I always say. I cut Y triple Q's at 13%. It was like at 12.79 yesterday, but it's growing. I cut ULTY. I cut another. It was at 18, and now it's at 12. I cut another quarter off it, and I cut about a quarter off blocks. But I did that to make room to buy new stocks. And anyway, I have K yield, which I'm happy with at 11%. So these are all, 10, 11. So it means I can add some more stocks in. I'm going to get CAIE probably, and maybe SBAR, and maybe even CLM. And I'm going to add a little bit to WPay next week, whenever the market stabilizes. I'm going to take WPay and QLDY up to 10 or 11%. So that's going to be the core positions: Alt-Y, KYLD, or Alt-Y, KYLD blocks, WPay, and QLDY. And that'll be about 50%. But then I will have room to, I could do, I really want CAIE. I've really liked that one. Thank you, Marcus, for recommending it. And but I mean, SBAR looks really good. Thank you, Brad, Brad asked me to look into it, and it's been a while, so I looked into it the other night, and I was thinking, man, why don't I have some of this? And I'm kind of halfway thinking about CLM. I'm closed in fund curious, but anyway. But the thing is, for now, I think 17% cash doesn't go down, it doesn't go up. If the market does rip up, blocks is totally uncapped. So's QLDY. And really, the way Howard runs K yield, it's there's not a lot of cap on that. So I think that I'll be disappointed, but a little bit. But the market rips back up, I'll be all right. But anyway, so I did that on the close today. And the main thesis was I just don't like what Bitcoin's doing, and ULTY and blocks are just heavily. Well, blocks is 100% correlated, and ULDY is also highly correlated. All right, so that's it for the portfolio change. So I have some buys to make next week. I've been working on this study that I've been telling you guys all week. I'm doing a linear regression between the Qs and ULTY, and I'm going to get this, and it's a lot better than it was last time. I'm going to get that future value calculator built this weekend. I haven't given up on that. I worked on that for about an hour today. So ULTI, and this is another project I have. I'm going to start downloading their trades, and they're going to have a whole ton of them tonight. And I'll put them on the spreadsheet and make some content. I'll probably combine that with the ULTY. I'll probably look at both trades. So that'll be fun because I get a program into option strat. Now, speaking of option strat, let's go see how ULTY did today. And the ones they put on yesterday all did well except for Costco. And I used actual fills on these. I was tired, so I just did a single lot on CoreWeave and NVIDIA, but they had like 5,000, whatever, you just multiply that by. Anyway, they did well. They did well on both of these trades, obviously, but the Lightning Condor with Meta, that one, Facebook, whatever, that one made 96,000 and they killed it on CRM. This one made 885,000. They got price to cooperate with them, and so that's really good. I like to see that. Heck yes, and they have this should be the reduced put drag version, but they still need the market to go up, but it's going up, and these funds will help them. Now the downside of these funds are, look at this IV, it's 32, the other ones are 25 and stuff. So no free money. They're going to take a hit on yield, but I think a lot of people will be fine with that if the NAV was more stable. So who knows? We shall see. Oh shoot, I responded to the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Gosh darn it. I don't want my sister to think something's wrong with me. Okay. In any event. All right. So that's that. What else do I want? Okay. So I have all these windows open for a reason. I wanted to show you the linear regression. I've been working on that, and that came from this spreadsheet. So we can close this spreadsheet. That's StreamYard. I'll stop here and see what you guys are up to. 38 of you guys here. I appreciate it. I knew Grumpy'd be here. Oh, and Chad too, of course. And Norman. Yeah, Norman, seems for some reason like you show up on Fridays a lot. I don't know why I always think that, but you show up other times too. Yeah, I thought It Never Rains in Southern California. Who sang that song? That's a classic. Was it Glenn Campbell? It wasn't Glenn Campbell. It Never Rains in Southern California. It's a classic song. My dad used to sing that song, or he's not a singer, but he hummed it or whatever. It's a great song. Yeah. So Mark, thanks for rotating, or the Bitcoin sucking because metals are performing well. Only in the song. Yes. Only in the song. It rains plenty in Southern California, but only when you don't want it. It probably rains a lot and causes mudslides, and then doesn't rain when you need it and causes, and then half the state burns. Anyway. All right. So the M1 Max Factor Pi was funded today. Okay. Good day because at least the market's down. I mean, it's a better day than when we were talking about it 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was, because the market's lower. All right. There's Grumpy. Hey, M-Sols. Yeah, I know. My sister should be watching. She should be watching for sure. All right, I'm just making sure there's nothing in here that I need to attend to. All right. Okay, let me show you a few more things, then I'll come back and answer whatever questions you guys have. So the new max factor. We're going to talk about that. Now that I have a separate show for that, it's not that big of a deal that I covered that during this. I don't know what we're going to have tonight. I haven't decided yet. Okay, option strat, we've already looked at that. We've already looked at this. We'll just leave that up. Oh, it's ripping up. Look, Bitcoin's ripping up. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's because the chart wasn't. I was like, oh, my gosh, this is where we're fine. What am I talking about? All right. Well, yeah, not a good look. But, I mean, at some point, they'll maybe get the liquidity they're going after, and maybe the big guys will get the price they're waiting for, and they'll start running the other direction. So, that's ULTY. We can get rid of that. We've already seen this, the waiting and the daily changes. We've already seen that. We've already checked that out. Yeah, I was just looking at SPA. I was trying to decide, but it sucks. It sucks the Bitcoin is in the dumper, but there's plenty of things like SPAR, like CAIE that have very little to do with Bitcoin. I'll just put some of those in. If Bitcoin comes back, blocks will still kill it. And QLDY and other things. And I have BITK. So, but I was going off the synopsis that we just ripped into the year end. And we might still, but it's beginning to look less and less likely, or at least, maybe it'll start later in the year or something. All right. So what else do I have for you guys? We looked at the index buffer. Oh yeah. Has anyone seen this? This is an AI agent called Monica. It's really cool. Somebody from our Discord, it was, I think it was Finding Serendipity, gifted this to me. I think he has it, and he gave me a trial, gifted a trial to me, and it comes with a special deal or whatever. But it looks awesome. It looks like it can do everything. But I haven't got a chance to use it yet. Just because I finally learned how to use Claude, and Claude's actually been working pretty well. So, but I'm going to learn how to use that this week. And I just wonder if anyone else has seen that. I thought that was pretty cool. Then I wanted to also give a shout out to Finding Serendipity for thinking of me. I appreciate that. So I was game planning some stuff here. So Big Y is incredible. You guys know that. Big Y beats SPY Eye. It ties triple QI. Big Y's been one of the great successes. But I was just thinking, well, how does it do against CAIE? And as good as it is, CAIE is basically beating it, or is beating it. And the dividend's about the same. 2.5 on 50 is the same thing as $1.30 on 25, right? Actually, $1.35 on 25 is a little bit more than $2.50 on 50. That's awesome. So yeah, I definitely want to get some of that. Let's run it against SPAR. SPAR is damn impressive too. Thank you for Brad for bringing it to my attention. Or I'd always forget about these things, but okay. Well, anyway, but I bet SPAR has a hard time going down because it has a 40% buffer on it. So, and it pays the same yield as CAIE, but anyway, CAIE is impressive. But anyway, so while I was looking at this stuff, I was just trying to game plan stuff to get next. But those are definitely on the list. Let's run CAIE against CLM. I'm thinking about this. Like I say, I'm closed-end fund curious. So let me ask you this. If I get CLM and I put it on drip, I don't have to do it. Do I have to manually buy it when they have a rights offering, or can I leave it on drip and will it drip at the NAV? And I'm asking on Tasty Trade. But anyway, if you guys have the answer, put it in the comments, and I'm going to be over in there and check them out in just a sec. I just want to make sure I got everything here that I wanted to talk about. Email city. Okay, I think that's it. I think we've covered it. I just wanted to show you those things I was working on. I'm really excited about analyzing ULTI's trades. I'm not crazy about the way it's performing, but I bet you anything that it doesn't look like they manage it that actively. So I think they made a bad allocation and they hedged a few of them off, but But I wonder, I really want to see next week if they do the same strategy or whatever, and if they switch stocks and all that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, these guys are competing directly with block. I mean, blocks, to me, because they're both kind of one-to-one upside and downside, this one's kind of more of a comparison for blocks than it is for ULTY. However, it pays a yield like ULTY, unlike blocks, which pays a smaller yield but has, one-to-one upside and downside, delta one exposure. So, I mean, this one could be interesting if they could not drop 25% in 1 week. I mean, anyway, I'm gonna start following that. All right. So, what do you guys want to talk about? I'm gonna go to the bottom and look for that answer about CLM. It's definitely on the list. I really think I'm just maybe I'll split that 18% 5 ways. Add to WPay, add to QLDY. Those are good ones, and they're too low. And then get a little CAIE and a little what was the other one? SBAR, I guess, and maybe CLM. And I think that'd be a pretty solid portfolio. Okay, so let me look here. Did I? Okay, CLM CRF's not set. So you have to, yeah. So I would just turn off drip, and then I would drip at the strategic time. I would have to follow it. That's fine. That is fine. So what's Mark saying? He thinks of Monica, the girl on the street, Monica Stars. Oh yeah, who you had the hots for? Yeah, Monica's a hot name. There was a great movie with Richard Gere in it called Breathless, and it was like one of his first movies. He played a hustler in West Hollywood, and it was in the early 80s. My dad used to love this movie, but it's because there was a French girl, and her name was Monica. Or he would say, she'd say it with the French accent. I can't do it, Monica. My dad could do the French, and she was just hotter than a pistol. Anyway, but yeah, that's the first time that was before Officer and a Gentleman, before, anything else. But I remember that Richard Gere movie. It's just anyway, Monica. Yeah, Monica's a hot girl name. Is she on the stripper name? I mean, but Monica's not necessarily, I'm not saying it's a stripper name, but I mean, it's a hot girl name for sure. You guys are having filet mignon. Heck yes. What did I pump fake you for, Marcus? How did I pump fake you? Never going to have. Okay, so this was the question that, let me go through and make sure it doesn't say max. Okay, Robert, I do want to read what Robert's saying. He's saying collected 507 and divvies on alt I, but down 1255 for 5,000. Okay, yeah. I was going to say I've collected $4.80 in dividends, but per share. Yeah, I got you. But anyway, I think my average cost is, I forget. But down, yeah, never sold any of these high yields unless you make more on divs than now loss. It may be an exception, and you have WPay already. WPay is a good one. I mean, the guys in Discord, I mean, they didn't have to convince me. I've been Roundhill curious for a long time too. The Roundhill single stock funds always did really well. The QDTEs and those of the world had done a pretty good job. And then when they came out with their single stock ones, I thought the little bit of leverage was just the perfect amount. So as soon as they came out with the fund of funds, I was all over it. But that's another problem I'm having. I've heard Rex is coming out with their fund of funds on their growth and income. They're going to have like 7 or 6 of them. They don't have very many, but I bet you it grows as they put more in there. And I don't know when it's coming out, but I really love their growth and income funds where they sell cover calls on half the portfolio, lever the other half. So maybe I should save some of that 18%. I'm just going to let the market decide. If the market keeps looking bad, I can hopefully get lower prices on these things in the future. So we'll see. I got you. I hate to hear that, Mark. But anyway, you've been on top of it. You've been managing. Did you get assigned on Tesla ever? I never did hear the end of that. I heard that you thought you might get assigned on Tesla. Robert, what are you saying? What would be a good replacement with the same div? Well, anytime you get a dividend like that, you can be a little bit of a mess. I mean, look at ULTI. I would have thought just on paper that might be a replacement, but but so far it doesn't look like a good one to me. But it's built more for upside. Probably depends if the market's going down or up. You guys give them suggestions. Yeah, maybe. I mean, you may not, maybe take a little less dividend and get WPay or YMAX. They pay 50, 70, something like that. And get this, ULTY's dividend looks like it's going to be coming down. Maybe that's a good thing. Anyway. Okay, so let me go back to the bottom now, and we'll get. I think I'm caught up. Heck yes, Richard. As soon as the market comes back, it'll come back. You didn't get a sign, not yet. Anyway, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I was the mayor. That guy is smart. Oh yeah, there's mayor. Okay, I asked Matthew Tuttle in his. Oh, you saw the webinar? That's a great webinar. Yeah. Well, okay. He hates Yield Max. He hates Round Hill. He hates all those. That's kind of his brand. He thinks that he thinks covered call funds are a ripoff, and he but remember he's a great guy. You read his newsletter, but I mean he's right. It'll lose at a little bit faster rate, but so here's what I built to handle that. We can know. I mean. Granted, we've only had a week, but I mean, this tells us, I mean, because it's, even with the down days, because there's also up days also, WPay was mid-pack on all these. It did a little better, and that was in a down week. So, I mean, but I mean, he's right. If we get an extended downturn, you don't want WPay or blocks or ULT. You don't want anything if we get an extended downturn, but some of them will hold up better than others just because of the structure of them. But I'm sure he meant well, or I mean, I know he means well. I think he's a good guy, and he's a real interesting guy. But and what I like about him, he believes in uncapped upside. He's come out the whole set of funds that are doing lightning spreads. His only problem with covered calls is just mathematically. He said you get half the upside and 80% of the downside. It's just a math thing for him. But also remember, he's talking his own book, and all these guys talk their own book. So I listened to all of them. But in the back of my head, you got to know which side of their bread is getting buttered, and so I factor that in. But I mean, I like Matthew a lot. We got to get Matthew back on the station. All right. So, I've missed that, Marcus. Well, I saw Marcus saying something. You were eyeballing the Bitcoin chart like crazy now. Yeah. I mean, I just, it's the other thing is it seems to be a leading asset. I mean, because it started dropping about a month before the market made a high. Here, that's what I was going to show you. Let's go look at this. Okay. So let's put this on. In fact, I was looking at this myself today. Let's put this on. Let's put this on daily. All right. And the retest failure is just a classic trading signal. I mean, it just, it didn't really have that on this time. It may have had one day where it did it, but then the next day it got back above it. And, so, I mean, and that was in April. I mean, so I mean that's what's freaking me out. I hated that. I hated to take more ULTY and blocks off the table. I mean, especially blocks. It'll rip when the market goes up. But I mean, you have to trade the chart that's in front of you, and anyway, what was I going to show you? Okay, but I think Bitcoin's kind of a leading asset, or it has been. So the market topped out, and the perfect time to sell the market was the last day of October. And I think I did sell some ULTY on that day, the 29th or the 30th. And I sold GDXY. I unloaded all my GPTY. I locked in a ton of profits up there, which was good. But the Bitcoin topped out the 5th of October. It's been going down, and the market, the market's made a lower high, and the market doesn't look great. But granted, it hasn't gone down as much. But right here, the market turned and was going up, was above its moving average, and the S&P made a new low, not a new low, but made a higher low or whatever. I just think it leads it by a week or two. It's just, I mean, it has been lately. So all I'm saying is, so maybe what we'll see is we'll see this turn up, and then maybe the market will go down for another few days or whatever. But then it'll be time to, when I see Bitcoin start turning up, I'm gonna buy the market. I'm gonna add that WPay, add that QLDY. I'm gonna add CAIE. I may skip SPAR. I don't need to be that diverse, but I like the concept of what CAIE and SPAR do, because they have a really big buffer on them. It would take a really bad market, for them to go down. So anyway, so here's the thing. So I think that now let's look and see how these funds are correlated. Now ULTI is pretty much, because ULTI topped, October 10th, or ULTY, I'm sorry. But I don't think I think for this one, it's a lot better to look at IBIT. Okay, so, this just, look at IBIT ripped from 44 to 70. It's like 25% rip. And, that was the time that this could do no wrong. But we forgot about after the election and stuff. I wasn't really following ULTY as close, but it same thing. It ripped when, IBIT went from 33 to almost doubled, and, and it caused it to rip. But then when IBIT made a lower high, this did too. And then this made a higher high, but IBIT was low. That was your key to dump that pig. Anyway, there was a divergence. IBIT led ULTY, and sure enough, ULTY, made a higher high, and this one didn't come anywhere close. And sure enough, that kind of led the selling into the April situation. But then this one turned around. They turned around about the same time. But, but we can get IBIT to go from 54 to 72. That's like a 20% face rip or whatever. It's something like that. So, of course, the meme stocks will do well. If you don't like ULTY, that's fine. But in the future, we're going to have the meme stock from Vibe, from Roundhill. What I'm saying is those will do great when Bitcoin turns around. And I would think even a WPay and a YMAX is pretty highly correlated. Let's look at YMAX and see if it. Anyway, but I've been keeping both of these charts up, IBIT and then SPY, and just studying the, and keeping an eye on this stuff. In the old days, I used to look, I'm talking 2020, 2021, the Japanese yen was a leading indicator. I'd look at the yen, constantly, and also UVXY. UVXY seemed to sometimes lead also. Anyway, I quit looking at UVXI, and I think the VIVX to VIX ratio shows what I was trying to see in UVXY better. But in any event, all right, let's see what's going on. But anyway, so I did want to talk about that stuff. But so here's another thing that I was thinking with ULTY. If I would have got out when it closed, 2 days under this, that would have been a great time to get out. I finally did sell some, but it was like March 28th when I saw that it felled the trend line and then cratered. I think March 28th, I dumped, I think, all my ULTY, and I put it in the inverse and stuff, and then added ULTY back right there. That's the reason why I have pretty good performance in ULTY compared to some people. I got lucky. I dumped it high, added it lower, and anyway. But it's the same situation again now. So like I always say, nothing good happens under the 200-day. So, but also I bought Salty yesterday. So I was thinking, okay, well, so Salty should offset some of it, but I just have 6% Salty and I had 18% this. So I'm still 3-to-1 bullish to bearish. So when I cut it back to 12, it's, it's 2 parts salty, one part salty. I won't get hurt too bad in either. If it does keep going down, it'll be fine. They both get a yield, whatever. But basically, I just wanted to hedge off this risk. I mean, if history's any key, and this was a wild situation because of the tariffs. But if history's any key, this dropped from 4 after it hit the moving average. It had dropped a lot before that. It dropped from 4 to 315, 85 cents on $4. What is that? 163.20, a fifth, 20%. I can always buy it back lower. If it goes down 20% into something, I'll put it back up to 18% allocation or take salty off or whatever. But yeah, that's what that's what I'm thinking there. So by the same token, let's look at blocks. I mean, blocks would be under its 200-day if it had one. It's just, until crypto recovers. Now let's look at like LFGY just to kind of compare it with ULTY. And it just went under its 200-day. Yesterday it closed under it, and then again today. So it's also flashing a sell signal. Now, luckily, I sold all of it on the last day of October, which is right here. So I did really well right there. So look at this. So this is what makes these kinds of funds look so good. Look at look at Big Y. I mean, it just now touched its 50. It's nowhere close to its 200. They're just, it doesn't pay out as much yield. Yield's a tax on the upside. Look at something like Triple QI. I mean, you guys know it's a badass fund. I mean, it's not doing as well as Big Y in relation to its moving average. But when I ran them against each other since inception, they were virtually the same. Look at something like SPY. Well, and then we're going to look at, SPY just touched its 50-day. Look at CAIE. It just touched its 50-day. I mean, these ones that pay 10, 12%, 14%, the math of it's a lot easier on them. I keep talking about Big Y. I just need to get some of that, I guess. I think I already have those kinds of stocks covered other places, though. I was thinking about that's why I'm thinking about a closed-end fund and CAIE. But I mean, Big Y could work too, or really KQQQ could work if I just want something like that fills that role. But so here's Big Y. All right, I don't look at dividends reinvested, but that is a good look for SPY. But anyway, Big Y to SPY. Actually, SPY beats it. I thought I checked it a while ago. Maybe I didn't go back all the way to inception. I think I checked it year to date. Let's check it against T-SPY. I mean, and everybody loves T-SPY. And me too. There's nothing wrong with T-SPY, but I mean, Big Y is a special fund. I mean, because it performs with Triple QI, and that's a special fund. It outperforms T-SPY, and that's a special fund. I could also just get Triple QI. I mean, there's a lot of good choices if I'm trying to de-risk a little bit. All right, well, that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, he's Monica. Did anyone see that movie Breathless? There was a Jerry Lee Lewis song, Breathless, that the movie was based on. And Richard Gere, I think he played a hustler, and he would hustle. He'd go to the bars in West Hollywood and roll the gay guys for money. He was just a hustler, a pimp, and just a lousy person, but it was a great movie. So Fidelity does do the NAV drip on Cornerstone. Good to know. You bought some Cornerstone today, but yeah, I have tons of good options on safe stuff. I mean, Big Y would work, Triple QI would work, CLM would work. I'm going to eliminate T-SPY because, I mean, Big Y is just spanking it. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, but that was a bad look for, but I mean, everybody loves CLM, and this is right virtually the same. I bet CRF beat it though, right? Because it's NASDAQ based. But anyway, lots of good choices. I have plenty of time to make them next week. If you guys have any suggestions, we'll talk about it in Discord. Okay, so yeah, you asked Matthew. I mean, leverage works both ways. I get what he's saying, but I mean, we're lining them up against the other funds. It's about mid pack. So, I'm going to do that every day. That's going to be my new main feature. I'm going to make the graphics where it's easier to read and get a table and stuff. But that's what I'm really most interested in right now is the diversified divas, blocks, alt-I, K-yield. I mean, to me, that's where the really fun stuff's going on. All right. Oh, Wiley's coming back. Third thing is, I mean, yeah, Mayor, I mean, yeah, just wait till it goes down. So true, but you don't, it's not like you're going to buy 100%. I mean, you don't have to buy just WPay. You can buy WPay and you can mix it with triple QI or something, and or mix it with CRF, CLM. And yeah, double pay might be a little bit, but you mix it with something else that doesn't go down as fast. I mean, so, but I think he's right. I mean, math is math, but difference between SBAR and CAAE. I just learned SBAR isn't auto callable, meaning it's safer, and that's why it underperformed. But it doesn't have the ability to get called early, so it's European settled. So it gets more. Can only be called at execution. And okay. Yeah, Richard, I'm with you. I'm a fan. I hated to have to cut it, but I'm trading the chart that's in front of me. I'll be the first one to add it back in size if I get a chance. Yeah, okay, you're right. American Gigolo was a good movie too. My parents wouldn't let me watch that. I was 14 in 1980. And I didn't get to watch Saturday Night Fever either. That was set in 1977. I was 11, but I watched it anyway at my friend's house. But I think I watched it like a few years later. I wasn't allowed to watch Animal House. That had lots of boobs and stuff, but that's a good show. Those were all classic shows. But yeah, but by the time that Breathless came out, I was like 15, and my dad and I would watch movies, together, and we watched Porky's together. My dad he's just exactly like me. He has a crazy sense of humor, and he acts younger than he is, and he likes girls, and he likes crude humor and stuff. Anyway, he's a good guy. I need to get him on the show sometime. All right. So Tesla was 385 this morning. The strike on the put was 405. I expect to be a sign. Yeah. Probably so. So it'll probably happen tomorrow morning, right? I think they do that on Saturdays, or maybe tonight it'll show up. Okay. Marcus, does it matter when I buy and sell SBAR? Isn't it defined outcome? Or I'll let Marcus handle that one. But no, I think any ETF, they let you get in and out as you want. It may be defined outcome, but they use tranches. And I don't think it matters. I mean, it matters, but I don't think it's a huge deal. I know what you're talking about, though. There's some funds you have to buy on the day they come out, and if you hold till the day they expire, you're guaranteed not to be down more than X amount of dollars. Those are called defined outcome hedged equity funds. There's even some of them where you cannot lose money. You will be, if you hold it the year till it's up and you buy it the day it comes out, you will not lose money. You can make money. You cannot lose money. So yeah, I don't think it's like that. I think it's a different deal. But Marcus, well, I'm sure will answer that. Don't sell anything unless you're in profit. Let's see here. MSFY from Curve is nice. Not as much volume, but it holds. I haven't really looked at that one. I really haven't looked at that one yet. Okay. Also about BTC, checking CoinGlass total supply. Scroll down and you can see total Bitcoin supply and exchanges and compare the price over the past 2 years. Good information. I don't know if I've seen you in here before, Castile. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, I mean, I hear you guys on all those comments. So you're saying even though you had house money, the thing is, to me, it's irrelevant if I'm down or up in an investment. if there's a better investment available, or the investment that maybe I'm up on. I was way up on ULTY. People don't believe me. It was like 21%. But that's why because I wanted to keep it that way too. Had I, but anyway, when I sold it, it was a combination. If I'm way up, I want to lock gains. So I'll sell a third of it. Plus I wanted to buy K yield. I think K yield is arguably a better fund. Now, I mean, it's only a week. It's too soon to tell. I also wanted to buy ULTI. Glad I didn't do that, but I'll probably get some of that someday. So I look at it, I look at it. I don't worry about, I mean, I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but that's I'm just trying to maximize what I have for the market I see ahead of me. So, all right. You sold SMCY and YMAX because I hear you, Fish. I hear you. Sold WPay too. Okay. Because you think it'll continue to drop. Well, if the market continues to drop, it darn sure will. That's the other thing is I always say don't time the market. I don't know how to time the market, but I'm fascinated with it. It's all I think about. It's all a lot of you guys think about too. Mark's a really good market timer. And I think a lot of you guys are and study the levels and everything. So I'm combining, hey, is this the best high yield ETF that I can have? Because that fund's only for high yield ETFs. It's definitely not the best stock. I mean, but it's in my high yield fund. Is this the best one I can have? One, or is there a better one out there? Two, and what is the bigger picture? What's the bigger picture? I think our political situation is getting worse, and I think it's going to continue to deteriorate. And I think that the uncertainty, I don't think that's priced into the markets yet. So I'm saying, I'm looking at that and I'm looking at Bitcoin and, that's the way I look at it. I look at 3 or 4 different things. Richard's keeping everything. Heck yes. Buy and hold. So Simplify pays SBAR across all 3 indexes. Calamos pays CIE using SPY tools. Oh, total return swaps. Okay. All right. Yes, you're right. The SBAR is kind of complicated. It's a worst of feature. It's basically an auto callable, but it's not auto callable, but it's basically a hedged bond. They're very similar. All right. Well, you guys are agreeing with each other. I like to see that. I'm retired, no income coming in, so you have to be careful. Yeah. So you may have. So another person. See, I'm not even worried. The income doesn't concern me either. I don't even look if it's X day or whatever. So I'm looking at it as opportunity cost, and I'm just always trying to fine tune it. CAIE can have better returns. That's the trade-off. Yeah, good information. Your journey is my hobby, so I don't have much pressure. Yeah, I hear you on that. CHY is a CEF that does convertibles too. Oh, that's good information. I don't think I've seen you around here before, Bikerman. I appreciate you being here. If you have been, like I always say this, I mean, I don't have a perfect memory, but I tend to notice new names. But if you're new, I appreciate you. So you like which video? What are you talking about, Chad? Chad's. I like the doggone video. Absolutely. Who's going to the club tonight? You guys going to the club? I have absolutely no plans. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on all this stuff that I'm behind on. I'm actually going to make a ULTI video and a ULTY video. I'm going to get more into following the trades because even the guys that do the money, like ETF Delta and ETF Inspector, are real good on the money. ETF Delta is just good on the theory of everything. But I'm saying I like to dive into the actual trade. So I'm going to try to stay in my lane and generate and just, so we can really stay on top of these funds. I haven't given up on ULTI, but you got to admit it. It's been a unauspicious start. Okay, you could hedge with SOXS triple short and it pays a quarterly yield also. Yeah, that's good information. Sometimes I forget that those short funds will oftentimes pay a yield. I don't really know if you call them an income fund per se, but I mean, when they do have income from shorting, you get, that's for sure. Calamos is such a cool name. What does Calamos mean? Does anyone know what that means? Is that like Greek mythology? I don't know if I've ever heard Calamos, or is it? I didn't know if it was a person's name or sometimes they just make up a brand and they make it sound like other names. Like, I can't think of an example, but anyway, yeah, Calamos is a cool name. All right, so what are you doing? You're going to Club Garage with some Max and friends. What's Club Garage? Is that a club down there in out by where you live? All right, guys. Well, oh, it's your garage. Oh, yeah. So you're going to watch my videos in the garage. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Okay. Well, I'm going to get out of here so I need to start on those videos. I mean, and I never did cook spaghetti last night. I went in and I cooked the chicken because the chicken needed to be cooked. So I cooked the chicken, but then I snacked around. And by the time the chicken was done, I wasn't hungry anymore. So I put this, I put the spaghetti, put the chicken up, but I'm going to go in there right now and cook the pasta and then and I'm not really cooking. I'm just using ragu. I'm not going to make it from scratch. I have before, I know how to, but okay. So I was right on the Greek mythology. I don't know why I thought that. Calamos is the son of the river god in Greek mythology. They have a river god. I hadn't heard about that one. All you know, huh? Interesting. Very interesting. I took Latin in high school because I went to a private school and they made me, even though it's a dead language, they say it makes you smarter, and it does. Once you take Latin, I had to take like 4 years of it. And I don't know, makes you smarter is the wrong thing, but so many languages are derived from Latin. And when you learn, Latin, a lot of it, you sometimes have a better guess at stuff. I'm really good at Trivial Pursuit and things like that. I'm a good guesser because of my background. All right. So I see a new first-time commenter here. Or I think you are, Nicholas. You may not be. So love your content. You see Alti like me. I'm up around 45. Well, you must have been in the whole time. So I probably got lucky being up 21, but I didn't get in until December. If I would have got in October, I bought the highs in Alti, and I was down for a long time because December was the highs, and and then I sold it. And I was down for a long time. In fact, if the market wouldn't have ripped, in fact, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this thing really quick. But I mean, I get that. Depending on when you got in and depending on what your goals are and your risk tolerance, I mean, it's definitely not for everybody. But sometimes I get frustrated with none of you guys, but I'll see people on, social media and they'll say, I bought it this summer and it's, I've lost $5,000 and I've only made $2,000 in dividends or whatever. And I feel bad for them or whatever, but and then they're done with it. And then they hate Jay and they think Jay should go to prison or whatever. But that'd be like me. I bought blocks this summer. I'm down like a MFer in blocks. I'm getting murdered in blocks. It's not blocks' fault. I mean, they're doing what I expected them to do. I bought a high. Just like, I'm saying but I'm not saying you should just hold these forever if they don't meet your goals. But the deal with these high yield funds are a lot of your income or a lot of the money is given back to you incrementally every week. So, I mean, it's hard. It's hard, but I'm just saying, somebody made a comment in my video. That's what it was. Somebody made a comment in my video and I was, individual results may vary. If you buy a top, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, if you buy the top in the market, you aren't going to be happy with it. But then it sucks because on social media, there's all these people showing their statements and everyone's talking of, trying to chase cloud and the people that made a lot of money are always the ones that talk loudest. And you see people on here, oh, Misty's house money for me. It's been house money 2 years. I love this thing. I'm going to hold it forever. Well, yeah, if you would have bought it 2 years ago, but I bought Misty, I'm just saying, but if you bought it 6 months ago, it's a totally different investment because the market sucks since then, and it does nothing wrong with Mr. Misty, but whatever. It doesn't meet a lot of people's, risk tolerance or whatever. So, I mean, it's definitely a highly personal thing. And I'm trying to be more sensitive to that and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad you're up. I mean, I'm going to stick it out in blocks. Because for me to sell blocks, I did sell some of it today, but that I'm doing that more because it's under the 200-day. I'm waiting for crypto to come back. But if for me to sell blocks, it would have to be like it's not doing what I thought it was going to do in the prospectus, you know. And blocks is performing exactly like I liked. I mean, or exactly like I expect. I knew it was going to get a ton of downside. I made multiple videos on it. I knew it'd be uncapped on the upside. So I mean, you know, so when I get in at an all-time high and it makes a ton of downside, and all of a sudden my position's down 20%, I don't. It's not blocks' fault. I mean, to me, it isn't. So that's my speech for today. All right. But anyway, what I was going to show you guys. Oh, I really thought this might be interesting. This linear regression analysis. What I did on this is I shut the window. What I did on this is I just took quarters of time. So you can look here. This was the best quarter. So triple Qs were up 30%. It says asset, but asset means ULTY. Was up 15%, and that's NAV only. So I'm studying the relationship between the Qs and they're obviously highly related. I'm going to do one next that compares compares Bitcoin to alt-Y. But so that's what it takes. If you can get 30% up in a quarter, yeah, then the NAV of alt-Y will go up. But there's been times in history when it's gone up, but it's because the Qs are on fire. But that's not all it is. If you can get the Qs not to drop too much, you know, the Qs are up 13% and this was down 8% in a quarter. Well, what do you make in a quarter? You know, it was paying around 80. So you're making 20 in a quarter. I trade 20 for 8.5 all day long, you know, but if you get a bad one, I mean, you guys see what's happening, but if you get one where the Qs drop 17%, you know that your NAV's going to be down 37%, or it was last time. And that's just in a quarter. And yeah, it doesn't matter. Your dividends aren't going to make up for that. You're going to be underwater. I mean, it's just because it's investing. In investing, you try to pick assets that grow in value. These things just give you a side effect of their selling premium and whatever. It just adds another moving part to it. But still, you know, so, you know, but you get a reasonable Q performance, like, you know, Q's up 9, you know, this quarter, alt-Y was down 6%, but paid a 20% dividend. I mean, heck yeah. This quarter right here, Q's up 6. And actually, this is an outlier. When the Qs were up 6, alt-Y was up 1.9, NAV only. So that's a good quarter because you probably got 20%, 15, 20%, something like that in divvies over the quarter. You know, here's one where the Qs were up 3% and ULTY was down 9%. Anyway, you guys can see it's just I'm going to flip. I'm going to make this idea better, and then I'm going to make a future value calculator where we can. I swear this is going to be a great thing. I don't know if I'm going to make a video, but I'm going to show it to you guys, and we're going to talk about it. But yeah, it's just math at the end of the day. And here's something else. Here's something else I thought you might be interested in. So when you look down here on the statistics, and here's the key takeaways. Of course, they're highly correlated. Beta's near 1, full market exposure. So the asset captures Q's directional movements almost perfectly. You're getting the same market exposure with capped upside, classic covered call behavior. The alpha story. The negative 22 alphas is massive, and it tells the real story. And this is average. You know, the asset systematically lags Q's by about 22%, even when accounting for market movements. Perfect example of why total return matters. And I don't know why he said for the max factor analysis. I mean, these AIs get to know you, and this has nothing to do with the max factor, but he just thinks it does, and he's getting a little out over his skis, but it's whatever. But think about that. So on average, what does that tell you? You're getting about 20%, you know, just eyeballing it, 15, 20% in yield, and the average is down 22%. In NAV. So that means it's about a break-even investment. And I think over the time I studied this, it probably is, because especially with the recent market pullback. So let's check here, because I went back all the way to the beginning. So alt line SPY. And yeah, it's about a break-even investment. And sure, I mean, that what I'm saying is, so that's what that says. And this corresponds because that doesn't show dividends reinvested. This shows no dividends reinvested. And sure enough, that's exactly how it works. You get about 20% yield, but on average, it lags 22%. You get 22% negative, alpha on average. But remember, that includes the downtimes. You try to don't invest in these in a bear market. Try to get out during a bear market and, whatever. But yeah, that perfectly explains it. And that's why we sit where we're at. Now, if I would have run it, and it's cherry picking to do this, but of course, if I would have run it since October, it does better than break even. Of course, it's up 12%, but I ran it for the whole time. So, and even though it's up 12%, it's still lagging the SPY. And that makes, it's capped upside. But anyway, but I hope you guys like that kind of stuff. But I'm just studying the math of it. It's just math. It's just math. Max, 2,000 years ago, there was two languages all of Europe, Latin and German, right? So when you learn Latin, everything in the book is about the Roman Empire. I mean, because they're old textbooks and they talk about there's some road that went all the way through the empire and they called it the Via something. Via means road or pathway and Roma Via or something. But yeah, everything had to do with Roman stuff. But yeah, it was, I hated my mom and dad for sending me to that school, but actually I made a lot of good friends there. And in the learning Latin was really good. That made such a big influence on me, even though I hated it. Germany was only one vote away from being the main language in the USA. Wow. All right. So what's going on here? So you said, Marcus, it won't pay 14% along with growth. Yeah, no, I know it. I know it, but it looks like a decent place to hide out, though. I mean, I'm just looking for places to hide out there. I just don't want to. I want to try to. I mean, I started this in December. I want to try to, so my 1 year anniversary is coming up of the portfolio, and I don't want to be down 20%. And I'm trying some. That's why I'm trying to hedge the downside, but still stay long. I'm just not real positive about the last quarter anymore. I mean, okay. So IMSOLs has got house money on Coney, but the payments are a fraction of what they used to be. The house money is nice. The house money's nice, but I'm not a huge fan of the protective puts, but that's not a huge deal. Well, yeah. So the ones that don't have protective puts, like blocks, for instance, and blocks gets 1-to-1 upside and downside. So yeah, it gets extra downside, but when it goes up so fast, that it actually, I think, over time, I think blocks will probably outperform ULTY, depending on the market. But I think in a steady to up market, yeah. So, I mean, definitely. The other thing is, if the markets, if you're really bullish on the market, don't worry about the puts. I mean, you can get ones like blocks and QLDY that are uncapped on the upside, and either just get out of those or maybe use the ones that have a little protection, in a down market. If you're retired and you still need an income, one of the ones that has, that cap downside protection might work in some cases. But yeah, I hear you. NAV goes down, dividends will fall. True. Very true. And that's something else I'm lucky on ULTY. I'm not trying to live off it. I'm on full drip. So that problem right there has alleviated itself somewhat because when you drip, it keeps your effective rate is close to the same. But yeah. But yes, Summit's here. What is Summit doing here from the great state of, where are you? Let me think. You're Quebec, aren't you? Quebec. Style shoot. Let's see here. But yeah, Summit, it's good to see you, bud. Summit always leaves comments in my videos, and I appreciate it. He's always leaving me a nice comment. So IMSOLs have been housemate for about a year, but at some point you're going to figure out how to calculate final ROI and move it or just let it dwindle to nothing. I mean, ROI seems like it at some point will not plus up much anymore percent-wise. Especially Bitcoin winners here. I mean, if Bitcoin doesn't, but if we go to 200,000, like a lot of people say we're going to by the end of the year, or 150,000, I mean, Coinbase will be on fire. I mean, you're playing the market, also. But amazing how people have so many different ways to look at high yields. Yeah, they're just tools, and just like you could use a shovel, you can use a shovel to chop the head off a snake if you see a snake, or you can also use a shovel to dig a hole. You can use a shovel if to beat somebody over the head with. I mean, they're like shovels or whatever. You can do it all kinds of different things for it. You can do it for income. I don't think they're good for growth, but if you're on full drip, or if you put some of the drip into growth assets, you can make a quasi growth little fund for yourself. So anyway, yeah, I'm sorry about that, Chad. That sucks. Okay, so what are you saying about Granny? Tom Lee's holding out on me. I need GRNI. Yes, I'm really interested in Vibe. I think Vibe's going to be the 20% leveraged fund of funds. But on not even a fund of funds, it's going to be like a ULTI or ULTY competitor, meme stocks, but it's going to be from Roundhill, and I think Vibe's going to be really good too. But I also thought ULTI was going to be good. So I mean, you can't always know in advance. But if ULTI would have come out at a different time, people would think it's the best thing ever. I mean, it just because it's, I mean, just like people thought blocks was the best thing ever, but it came out at the perfect time. It went nowhere but straight up, for the first 3 or 4 months. Now you're starting to hear people say block sucks, and but all right, Nicholas, what are you saying here? Great point with living off it. If you live off it, it's like an annuity until you get your cost basis, and then the remaining market value is your gain. Definitely not for you or me. Yeah, I hear you on that. I hear you guys on all that. All right, it's 5:13 here. It's 6:13 there. Why don't you guys go get dinner, go do something. I'll be back later. All right. Mark says the way I look at ETFs or high yield is they provide me about per week, even when the market's down. Yeah, true. Yeah, good point. I mean, so Mark's using them for income. Heck yes. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. I'm really not feeling good for some reason. I may skip the Daily Factor show tonight. I'm just not feeling it. But I may be around. I don't know. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good day.